Ever feel like, what does they say? Like, there's more to the world than meets the eye, you know?
Mm.
We're diving into, well, it can be a pretty controversial world, actually. The world of Carlos Castaneda and these ancient Mexican shamanic traditions that he wrote about. And get this, we're not here to tell you if any of it is true or not, just to kind of unpack some of these ideas and see what you think.
It really is like stepping into a different reality when you start reading this stuff. It's like Castaneda's books, they give us this little glimpse into a world where, well, perception is everything. And shamans, they're not just, they can actually, they strive to see energy. And some believe they can even bend reality.
So it's like he fell into this, I don't know, secret society or something, and this Don Juan Matus guy kind of becomes his guide through it all.
Oh, yeah, Don Juan, yeah. He was a Yaqui shaman. And he ends up becoming, like you said, Castaneda's teacher. What I think is really interesting is how their relationship starts out. You see, Don Juan, at least in the beginning, he kind of plays the part of this, I don't know how to say it, this stereotypical shaman. He even called it like pseudo-Indian shaman rigmarole.
So he's playing into what Castaneda expects. It's like a magician setting the stage before he pulls out the rabbit or something.
Exactly. You've got it. And Castaneda, he's an anthropology student at this point, so naturally that kind of mystical stuff is going to be appealing to him. But what's interesting is that Don Juan's teachings, they go way beyond anything superficial. He challenges Castaneda at every turn to question what he thinks he knows, just pushes him to the edge of how he sees the world.
I bet. I can only imagine how jarring that must have been for him.
Yeah.
One thing that really kind of blew my mind was this idea of seeing energy. Are you saying they believed that energy flows through the universe and that they could actually see it? What does that even mean?
Well, it's one of the main things in their traditions. Imagine being able to see the actual life force. Like, that makes everything, I don't know, alive, all things. But they're not just seeing it with their eyes. It's more like with their whole being.
Okay, now that is a pretty mind-bending concept. Did they have like actual practices they would do to try to learn how to do that?
Oh, they did. One that Don Juan really stressed was called recapitulation. And what they would do is basically try to go back and remember everything in their lives, like every single moment. But not to judge it or anything, but to try to detach from all the emotions they had about their past.
So it's like they're hitting the reset button on how they see things, kind of wiping the slate clean.
Exactly. And by revisiting all their past experiences this way, without all the emotions, they believe that you can actually break free from how you usually see the world. They even thought that the past, present, and future, well, they're all happening at the same time, and we can change what part of this, what they call wheel of time, we're aware of.
Okay, see, now that's one of those concepts I'm going to need you to walk me through a little bit.
All right. Okay, so picture this. It's like a tunnel that goes on forever in both directions, and it's filled with these, well, reflective furrows, and they never end either. And each furrow is a different path your life could take, all the possibilities through time.
Okay, I'm trying to picture it. So are you saying that we're basically on all of these infinite paths all the time,
Yeah.
but we usually only focus on one of them?
That's it. You got it. The shamans thought most people get fixated on their own furrow and never even realize that all these other possibilities are swirling all around them. They even had this analogy like you can only see one movie on a screen, even though every movie ever made is playing at the same time. But they thought that if you practiced and were really disciplined, you could break free from that.
So you're saying we could actually turn the wheel of time, so to speak, and choose different paths for ourselves, different destinies.
In a way, yeah. They believed that by understanding that the wheel is there and learning how to shift your perception, they could tap into all sorts of possibilities. Even Castaneda himself, he felt the presence of this wheel of time influencing his work, pushing him to look into all these, I don't know, unusual ideas and experiences. It's almost like he was chosen for this, even though he didn't get it at the time.
Now, that's kind of creepy, but also really fascinating. It's like he got pulled into something he couldn't get away from. But, if we go with this wheel of time thing, even for a minute, what does it actually mean for us? What's the takeaway here?
Oh, that's a great question. And it gets to the core of why I think people are still so drawn to Castaneda's work today. They believed we are capable of so much more than we realize. They didn't just see our human form as our physical bodies, but as all these energy fields shaped by all our little habits and routines over time.
Hold on. So you're saying we're basically energy, and our body is just one way that energy is showing itself, and we can change that.
Exactly. They thought that we can break free from how we usually see things, and we can also break free from how we usually are, all those habits and stuff.
Wow. So by changing our habits and routines, we're basically changing our energy, who we are, at a fundamental level. Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility, but also kind of amazing when you think about it.
Okay.
But where do you even start with that? Didn't Don Juan talk about something called the warrior's path?
He did. And don't let the name fool you. This isn't about fighting or anything. It's more about being cultivating a way of life, living with a lot of discipline and detachment. That's what's important for a warrior.
Detachment. What do you mean by that?
It's kind of like inner freedom, like a warrior, the way Don Juan talked about it. They're always trying to be free from like all those things that weigh us down, like thinking we're so important or always needing to be in control. They erase their personal history. Not that they actually forget it or anything, but they learn to let go of all the emotional baggage, all that stuff that holds them back.
So it's almost like they're shedding a skin or something, and this new, more adaptable self can come out. It makes you think about how we get so stuck in our little routines, our habits, even just what we believe. It takes real effort to break free from all that.
That's exactly it. Don Juan thought that if you really want to grow, you got to break those routines. He even said we should do everyday things in a new way, like even if it's just working to work a different way or using your other hand to do something.
Interesting. So, like shaking things up a bit to see what happens, it sounds like they were always trying to get outside their comfort zones. What about death? You said before that accepting death was a big part of their philosophy, right?
Oh, it was huge for them. Don Juan, he talked about like embracing death, not being afraid of it, but like it's always with you. He said that when you really accept that you're going to die, it makes things clearer and it makes you do things now instead of putting them off.
That's a pretty intense way to look at it. But I see what you mean. It definitely makes you think about what really matters, Like if you knew your time was limited, would you waste it on dumb stuff? Or would you go after what you're passionate about?
Exactly. And the shamans believe that if you're always thinking about death, you can actually live more fully right now, in the present. And when you're present, like really present, without thinking about the past or the future, that's when you can tap into this thing they called intent.
Intent.
Yeah.
That's one of those words you hear tossed around all the time. What did it really mean to them, though?
It wasn't just, I don't know, like wishing for something. They saw it as this like force that connects everything in the universe. Like it's the energy behind all creation and change.
Okay, now we're getting into some pretty deep mystical stuff here. So are you saying they thought they could actually change this, like cosmic force or something?
They did, but not with magic spells or rituals or anything like that. They thought it was all about how you act and think. If you live with integrity and purpose, and if you're disciplined, they thought that mattered. It's almost like the universe, it responds to people who move through the world with real intention.
So what I'm hearing is they're saying that all of it, our intentions, thoughts, actions, it all impacts the world around us, like on this web of energy that connects us all.
Yes, exactly. And that if we can refine how we act and live in line with what we really want deep down, then we can tap into this, I don't know, this power that's bigger than all of us.
Okay, that's both amazing and kind of scary at the same time, right? Like, I mean, we have to be really careful about what we think and do and try to be more self-aware.
Oh, absolutely. This wasn't some easy path. It took incredible discipline and dedication. But the rewards, the way Don Juan talked about it, were limitless. He said you could achieve this like heightened awareness, this merging with like the very fabric of existence.
Didn't he also say something about the eagle and how warriors try to sneak past it when they die? What was that all about?
Ah, yes, the eagle. This is where their teachings get super symbolic. The eagle, it represented the ultimate force in the universe, like the thing that controls life and death. Not like a god or anything, though. More like this impersonal energy that's everywhere and in everything.
So like the life force of the universe.
Yeah.
And they thought they could, what, go beyond it somehow?
Not beyond it exactly, but like become a part of it, but still be themselves. They thought that if you spent your whole life trying to be more aware and mastering your own energy, then you could sneak past the eagle when you die. You would keep your consciousness and become part of the source of all creation. It's about being truly free, even from death and rebirth.
Wow, that'll give you something to think about, huh? It's both kind of terrifying and incredible at the same time. How do they think someone could even start to do that?
Well, it all comes back to how important inner silence is. They believe that if we want to reach our full potential, we have to go beyond all the thoughts running through our heads, all the worries and anxieties and wants and all that, all that stuff that keeps us from really experiencing the world.
Okay, so how do you quiet all that mental noise? Is it meditation, mindfulness?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, those things, but like On a whole other level, Don Juan said it's about silencing that voice inside that's always talking, always narrating everything, all that self-doubt, thinking you're so important, all that stuff that gets in the way of seeing things clearly.
So he's saying that if we can quiet our minds, we could have a totally different experience of reality.
Yeah. And that in that quiet space, we can start to see the possibilities that are hidden inside all of us.
Makes you wonder what we're missing because we're so stuck in our own heads, huh?
It really does. And that's the power of what Castaneda wrote, even if you think he made it all up. It makes us question everything we think, makes us try to be more aware, and maybe even see that there's more out there than what we usually see.
Like Don Juan said, to stop the world just for a minute and really see it. It's almost like we're, I don't know, trained to see things a certain way, right?
Yeah.
And these shamans are trying to tell us to try on a different lens or something.
Yeah, exactly. They really thought that we're capable of way more awareness than we usually allow ourselves. Like we can experience reality in a totally different way.
It's kind of a lot to think about, you know? It's freeing, but also a little overwhelming.
I get it. And it brings us back to Castaneda and what he was trying to do with his writing, right? I mean, you can believe it or not, but he definitely makes you think about how you see things, and what you think is really real.
He definitely got people fired up. People seem to either really love him or think he just made it all up.
Oh, yeah. There's no question about that. It's controversial for sure. But maybe that's what people like so much about it. It makes you think and it makes you wonder what's really possible.
So what do we do with that? How do we make sense of all these different opinions and figure out what to take away from all this?
I think it's about keeping an open mind, but also, you don't have to check your brain at the door, Take what speaks to you, what you want to learn more about, and leave the rest behind. I mean, the point of all these ideas is to try them out in your life, not just think about them,
It's more about the process than getting to some right answer.
Exactly. And that's what's so great about what Castaneda did. He makes us question what we think we know, try to be more aware, and maybe even see that there's something more than ordinary reality out there,
To look at things with fresh eyes, tap into that intent thing, and walk the warrior's path, right? It's a lot. And it all comes back to this idea of energy. They weren't just talking about some abstract concept, were they? They really believed they could see this energy.
Yeah, they thought it was like the basic building block of reality itself, and it connects everyone and everything. And they thought that with practice and discipline, we could learn to see it and work with it, even use it to shape our own realities.
That's a powerful idea. Even if you don't agree with everything, it makes you wonder, what if they were onto something? What if we all had the potential to see past what we normally see,
That's worth thinking about for sure. What if we could understand ourselves and the world so much better just by changing how we pay attention, quieting all the noise in our heads, and just being present?
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? It's like all the answers are right there inside us waiting to be discovered.
Maybe that's the biggest lesson we can take from Castaneda and his journey into this world of shamans. It's like he's urging us to explore our own consciousness, to question what we think is impossible and be open to all the amazing possibilities out there when we can look at things in a new way.
It's like a call to adventure, to really get to know ourselves and explore that mystery that connects us all. And that, my friends, is a wrap on our deep dive into the world of Carlos Castaneda's shamans. We hope you've enjoyed the ride, and maybe it's even inspired you to look at your own life and your reality in a new light. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep that warrior spirit burning bright.